You're listening to Life and Shyt. I'm Danielle Walker.
And I'm Tommy Walker.
Join us as we talk about our journey overcoming fears, boundaries, marriage, family, lifestyle, business, and whatever other shit you can think of.
We're individuals that came together to create one unit with one mind and one goal. What's up, Mrs. Walker?
What's going on, Mr. Walker?
How you feeling today?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
Outstanding.
That's what's up,
Outstanding.
baby. I love it.
I actually believe you. You look like you're doing all right.
You
came in today
you always be
feeling mad
trying to
good.
bust out.
You
Like,
know.
okay, so no, tell the truth, baby. Like, no, come on, baby, come on.
We talking about life and shit. So
That's
you
true.
gotta tell the truth.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Can't beat around
I
the
guess
bush.
you're right. Can't be faking it.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't came to this mic feeling like shit. I didn't came to this mic being on the verge of tears, to be quite honest. Feeling like shit as far as like physically, but like painfully, but also just like, oh, it was a rough night, a rough day.
You came in this afternoon feeling like you was on cloud nine.
Yeah,
I was like, oh snap.
Yeah, I did. That's a good day. Good meetings. Good day.
That's what's up.
Yes.
I like it. Got a question for you.
Hit me.
Yeah. How many credit cards do you have?
Oh man. So I already.
Well, before you answer that question, because I
here we
remember at
go.
one point I was like, all right, you should only have one credit card because we went through a little thing, right? So, I don't know how many credit cards you have.
You
So,
asked me a question.
yeah, so I want you to be honest. We just said you got to be honest.
You gotta go on your
So how many credit cards do you have?
So I already knew you were gonna ask me this, right? But I still didn't even look and see how many credit cards I had because I was like, you know what? We have multiple businesses, so I have those credit cards.
Those don't count.
Okay, so the ones that I have personal.
Business credit cards do not, and we only got 2 business credit cards.
Okay, so I have a total of 3.
3 personal credit cards.
Yes.
Why I don't feel like that's accurate? I feel like
I have an American Express card, I have a Capital One card, and then I have a Victoria's Secret card, and that is it.
And then your San Diego County Credit Union card.
You said those don't count.
That's
Those
not
are
a business
personal.
card.
Those you have that
Exactly.
same card.
Personal.
You have that same card though.
Mm-hmm.
That's not okay. Okay. I don't use that card for me. I use it for the house. So
Okay. You don't have a Lowe's card no more?
no. Well, I guess I still do, but we don't use it.
Okay. You don't have what's them off-brand?
I thought you said you didn't know what
Credit.
what credit cards I had.
Well, because we paid them all off.
Yeah.
And when I paid them off, I was like, get rid of 29% interest rate. What the fuck? Who has a credit card with 29% interest rate?
I'll never forget that conversation because you're like, okay, let's sit down and write down all the credit cards that we have and the balances and then go from there. And then his list was like 1 or 2 cards. And then I was like, I have this and I have that. And he's like, what the hell do you have these? And I was like, shoot, that's like free money to me. So that's one thing I didn't understand credit. And growing up, no one was talking about credit cards when I was growing up. I barely understood banking. I barely understood financing or anything like that. So then credit was like, I was like kid in a candy store, right? I was like, I got credit. Like I didn't think about how much I had to pay back or any of that.
Or the interest.
Interest? No, I definitely didn't. I didn't think about that until I was older and even had kids and was married. And I went to the store and I bought something. And I was like, oh, babe, I seen something. I bought this for you and for me. And you're like, hey, I know your account, girl. You ain't got no money.
Yeah.
And
I was like, how you buy that shit?
I was like, I got it on credit.
got it on credit. Yeah.
Oh, man, you went crazy on me. Oh, it was a huge argument. Huge, but I really didn't understand. I seriously didn't understand.
You know what's funny is this is the second time that you said you thought something was free money because we had an episode when you thought your checks were free money and credit is free money. And unfortunately, that is the misconception that we have.
It's true.
If you don't come from that world. And I've watched another podcast where they talked about financial literacy and, teaching your kids about credit by giving them access to your credit cards. Now I kind of feel some kind of way about that. Like I could teach my kid about credit cards without giving them access to my credit card. like we don't have to have that much exposure.
Truth.
But we could have a nice conversation about it. And I'm in the same boat with you. I didn't have a full understanding about credit, but I knew, credit cards. I had a full understanding about credit, but credit cards was something different.
Okay.
And I just felt like with credit cards, either you had to be making a significant amount of money, you had to have like an 800 credit score, or only rich people had credit cards. Like that was my understanding of it, because same way my parents wasn't talking about, oh, I'm putting this on my credit either.
Yeah. It's funny you say that you had experience with credit but not credit cards, and I'm like, you know what, I had experience with credit too. Shit. Yeah, 'cause my mom used to send me to the store all the time, and back in those days when it'd be like, all right, you got $5 credit. Like, that's what
Now that was your neighborhood grocery store, or in New York we had our bodegas.
Yes.
So of course,
so that was a different type of credit, right?
Way different type. That credit wasn't reported to the bureau. That credit was reported to the guys in the street.
If you didn't pay, they just didn't play with you no more.
But to your, that's a good point though, because if credit, when it comes to credit, bad credit or no credit is like equal.
It's true,
right? Wow. So if you have bad credit, you're in a shitty situation, and if you have no credit, it's almost the same as being in a shitty situation. And I reference, like, I've never seen nobody that had zero credit until my dad. My dad was the first person I've ever seen that had zero. This man's been on this earth for 60 plus years. Has done everything in cash.
Just like it.
Everything.
Just like that.
I was like, yo, like, we looked at his credit report together, and I was like, yo, Pop, he thought he had bad credit. But like, Pop, nah, you don't have bad credit. You literally have no credit.
You're like, well, why they don't give me no credit?
Yeah, because that was his point. He was like, yo, how come I can't get credit? And we looked, and I was like, because you don't have credit. Like, you literally have been walking this earth, doing your thing, all cash. Which is impressive to me.
Yeah, definitely is impressive. One thing that we teach our kids too that they don't really get about credit is that it's your report card, right? So that's why it's like, Dad's looking at it and he's saying, hey, like, what are they looking at? They're looking like you've never gone to school, so you don't know how to manage money. They want to see your grades. So if you've had credit and you did good, you get an A. And your credit score is basically your grades, right? So if you,
which sucks.
Yeah, it does. But at the same time, it's your history, So if you have a history of not paying things off, then that's kind of bad on you, right?
Yeah, but if I have a history of never owing anybody,
but I have no proof. I have no right?
Exactly.
I guess you're right.
I've never had to go out and borrow money because I have always had the cash to get whatever I want. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So it kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does. It does.
But we're talking about credit cards today, and to understand credit cards and credit in general, there's no school for it. There's like you literally only learn it from going through it. And if you have a good mentor, or your parents actually taught you, good on you.
Yeah, true.
For those of us that parents didn't have the opportunity to teach us, then you kind of learn for yourself. My first experience with credit cards was in college when I went to Baltimore, went to Morgan State University, and we had to go and I built my schedule, and they were talking about loans, and there was a table. Literally, it was like 5 tables of people handing out credit cards to students. And I was like, oh, man, like, you could get a credit card as a student. But I was like, how do you pay it when you don't have a job? That was the first question I asked the guy. And he was like, oh, you don't have to worry about that. And I was like, whoa, like, hold up. You mean to tell me you're going to give me X amount of dollars, like you said, free money at 25% interest, and I don't have to pay it because I'm in school? And then when I get a job, I was like, well, that sounds way too risky. Way too risky. So I ran from that table.
Sign me up. But they give a lot of college kids, especially when it's their first year in college, those type of credit cards. Definitely.
Which sucks. Which, you know what I mean?
And then, you referenced the no credit or like good credit, bad credit. Yes, we never know or have heard of this. It's like we hear these things and we get all excited, much like was it Cat Williams who said like on approved credit, right? It's like, wait, huh?
Yeah, the commercials.
Like, where it's like, wait, you said all these things and then you said shit on all that, right? Because none of that could happen because you're never gonna have unapproved credit, right? Yeah. And it's like things that you just don't understand.
So for those that if you've never seen a commercial, if you go to a car lot, especially in a military town, it says bad credit, no credit on approved credit. Yeah. So it's like, hold up. If I have bad credit, if I have no credit, but you only gonna give me a car if you approve credit. It's like it sounds like a lose win situation.
And it is. It's like you're not gonna give me this no matter what. Yeah, so credit cards have always been one of those things to me where I didn't really get it in the beginning. Like I said, we had that one real good argument about it when I initially used my credit card. And it was the first time. I'm like, what are you talking about? I think it was like $500 limit or something. And I was so happy to have that $500 limit. And I didn't spend it. I was like, I'm waiting until I find that perfect purchase, you know? And then I will say that once I spent that first, it was like maybe $150. Oh boy, that next like $500 was like, bow, done. And I'm like, oh, wait. Like, what just happened, you know? And before that, I had a prepaid credit card. Now, prepaid credit cards are even, like, worse. Like,
are those even still around?
I don't know if it's still around, but I had one of those. It's like you paid $100, and then they gave you $100, and I felt like, oh, but it was really
a secured credit
your
card.
$100. Yeah.
So, and that's funny, too. They call it a secured credit card because, like, you give them $300, and they say, all right, you have $300 worth of credit. Like, well, no, you just held $300 from me.
That's like a savings account.
Yeah,
right?
that's
like,
all it was.
Yeah, like I don't get it.
But that was another opportunity for you to build credit, which to me should be something that they should do with colleges. Like, like you should give a student more of a secure credit card. Hey,
oh, I'm sure they do, but
give me $500 versus
it's not as easy as sell.
Yeah, true. Give me this 29% interest credit card.
Yeah.
So the reason, credit cards is access to a line of credit. Basically that's what it is. It's a line of credit that the bank gives you, and they want their money with interest, and the interest could be anywhere between 17% to 29%, like I said, and then you could take cash out, which they call a cash advance, and those are the different things that you could use credit cards for.
I was gonna say, like, what are the like some of the good, like, what are the reasons why you would even get a credit card, right? And it is like those cash bonuses, like that one-time bonus that you'll get sometimes when you apply for a card, and then also the ability to get the cash. But like, isn't the what you get back when you take the cash out, you take $20 out, and then you have to pay like 40 plus that 20 back? Yeah. That's bananas.
Yeah. So regarding credit cards, now those are the reasons why why they gave you credit cards, right? It's a line of credit. Now, should you use all of those things? Hell no.
Yes.
Do not use. So in my notes I have here for cash advance.
Yeah.
Literally, if you think about a cash advance, think about check casher places where you go and you get a cash advance for your paycheck because you live in paycheck to paycheck, and you say, oh, let me borrow $200. I get paid on Friday. Credit card cash advance is the same exact way. You should not use that unless you're in a foreign jail somewhere.
Oh, that's so true.
Like
you have to, like, last resort.
Like, I mean, last resort. Yeah. Foreign jail, bail. That's all you have. That's the only time you should use cash advance on a credit card.
I agree. What about for safety reasons? So if you use your credit card or if you use your debit card. So if I want to make a purchase for something, say I'm selling something from Alibaba somewhere, like I don't know, somebody I just don't know, or like some kind of a buyer. And if I use my credit card, then it's easier to track. It's not going to drain all my bank account money, right? So it's like, okay, this is just my credit card. It's not my debit card. So what about times like that?
1,000%. Totally agree with you on that one. If you're online shopping, or if you're even in foreign land, like if you're foreign lands, credit card is the safest option than using your debit card, because like you said, they wipe out your debit card. Yes, if you're with a good bank, you could fight it, get it back. That may take a process, but fighting credit card issues, those are usually a lot quicker.
Yeah, and then also there's the grace period, right? So it's like if like I know this is probably one of the worst, but this is one of the reasons I enjoyed credit in the beginning is because of this grace period. So in my bank account, I have X amount of money, but I can spend my credit card and then I can wait and pay my payment and not pay the money that I have. So it's like I have this grace period where I don't have to where it feels like I don't really have to pay for it until later, right? Yeah. So I think that's where it gets us a lot of times, because I did not realize, and it's the whole interest, right, and principal and all that good old stuff. It's like, and that was the core of our argument, because I said I bought this, let's say $20 item, right, and I don't have to pay for it until fucking 2-3 months from now. Like, this is what the credit card set up for me. This is dope, And then I get the bill back, and it's like, wait, what? Like, why is my bill $46? It's like, oh, they charge you a convenience fee and they charge you all this other thing.
Interesting.
It's like, and principal. And it's like, huh? All those things feel nasty.
Yeah. So good point to that. So when using credit, right, there's many different credit cards out there. And if you've never had a credit card before, you definitely want to research. it is hard to research because when you apply for a credit card, you're just happy that somebody gave you one. you're like, I don't care. You know,
in
what
the
I mean?
beginning, you're right.
But there's credit card companies out there that pay an annual fee. There's like American Express charges an annual fee. Depending on how bad your credit is, you may have to pay an annual fee if you're in that rebuild process. And one of the things that I've talked with a lot of people because when I was in mortgages, it was always how can I rebuild my credit, or how can there's a credit repair company. Like, I'm not knocking anybody out there that's in the credit repair business, but you could do that shit yourself, right?
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, you just have to understand first your habits. That's the first thing that comes.
So true.
So you can't have a credit card and be out there swiping left and right without consciously knowing how you're going to pay that money off.
Right.
I had a conversation with my brother the other day, and we were talking about when to use your credit card and when to pay it off. And like how you said, you were thinking, I buy this $20 gift today and I pay it off in 2 months. But that $20 gift cost you another $26 on top of that because of interest.
Right.
Why? Like, we shouldn't put ourselves in that predicament.
Just wait,
That, or if you buy it on the 1st, let's say you bought something on the 1st or the 5th, your credit card bill usually is not due until the next month, right?
Tell them that's education right there. Yeah.
So your credit card bill. So let's say I bought something on April 5th. My credit card bill is due May 17th. You need to pay that credit card off, that $20 that you bought on April 5th. Pay it off no later than April 30th. Immediately or no later than April 30th. Do not roll over into the next month or until, and you have to understand when your cycle is closing on your credit card. So if your cycle closes if you bought it on the 5th, your cycle closes on April 26th, pay it off before the 26th. Pay it off before the cycle closes. Yeah. Then you don't get paid. Then you don't get charged any interest.
Yeah, and that's education right there, because you don't pay any interest, but what do you get? You get all the benefits, right?
To pay later, like you said.
And then also you get the points, right? And then you get the frequent flyer miles, or all those kind of benefits, because you actually use the credit card for what it was supposed to be, like how it was supposed to be. Well, I don't know if that's the way they want you to use it.
No, because you can't beat them at their own game.
Yeah, exactly. But so that's a way to kind of get a little bit of something from it.
But you jumped into the frequent flyer miles and the points. That's a whole nother ball game, right? So because when I got my first credit card, wasn't no points, wasn't no frequent flyer.
I guess you're right. That's true.
There was no rewards, and if it was, I didn't know about it. But I'm pretty sure there was no rewards, right? So nowadays, you can have a credit card, and a lot of people say, well, what do points mean? What does the rewards mean? Like, how does that work?
Right.
So if you have a credit card and they say, all right, for every dollar spent, you get 1.5.
And those dollars could be spent per the credit card in different areas, right? So if you spend dollars in, say, travel, then you get 2 points. If you spend if you spend your credit in restaurants, then you get 1 point, right? And then everything else could be no points or half a point. So it just matters. So that's why that's one of the things that's important to look at when you actually apply for a credit card, right?
1,000%. If you have to first understand where your points go, what industry, because it's not for everything. Some credit cards say it don't matter. You get points for everything that you purchase, or some just says it only for local business, in which it's a reason why they want you to support local business, or just for travel.
True. Yep.
Those could be the only two things that you get actual rewards for. So when it comes to points, for every dollar you spent, you may get a point, 1.5, and then those points transfer over into dollars, but not dollar for point. Like, it's not equal.
Not
so
at all.
for instance, Danielle had, so on our business credit card.
I love points, by the way.
Yeah, Danielle takes advantage of all of our business credit card points. So on our business credit card, and what we do, we try to pay for most of our monthly bills on our business credit card, so that we could get those points. They rack up, and then we'll go out and purchase like a gift or something for our employees.
Right.
So it kind of goes back into an investment. That's a different level. But let's go back to how rewards and points work. So we had 100,000 points on our business credit card. Danielle was able to purchase a flight to Las Vegas, a hotel, and I don't think you got a rental car out the deal.
Did I get her? No, but I could have.
But you could have got a rental car out the deal. Now, the 100,000 points only comes out to be $1,000.
Right.
right? So
It's like 10% of
yeah. So
whatever the
think
points
about
are.
that, like 100,000 points. You're like, oh, I'm balling. No, it's only $1,000.
Yes.
And I did the same thing when I went to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. So before COVID, I stayed in Times Square, at the Hilton. I paid for my flight all through our business points, and you know, it was easy money. It was like transfer, no problem. You could also get those points in cash, or you could pay your credit card bill.
Yeah.
Now, when I first got rewards, that's how I used to pay my credit card. I'd be like, God, how much is that credit card bill? How much points I got? That's going right to the bill. So I never actually used those rewards for our own benefit. It was like, shit, I got to pay this bill off.
That's a lot of people do. They use one credit card to pay the other credit card off too, right? And that's like,
yeah, don't do that too, because I mean, some people will say, yeah, oh no, what you do is you get a 0% interest rate credit card, and then when you transfer the balance, then you no longer have interest on that, all those transactions, because now it's on this new credit card, and then you get the points, and then you just keep transferring balances over and over again.
and people get caught up.
Exactly.
Right? It's like you're in this fucking windmill now, and you're gonna still owe in the long run.
Yeah, and you might be beating the system in some way, but the other way that you're not beating the system is you're getting hits on your credit report for every time somebody runs your credit, which sits on your credit for a year, sometimes 2 years.
Ugh,
and
that
those inquiries will hit your credit just as bad as not paying your bill.
Man, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
Because I was in that boat at one point where it was
I
like
remember that.
I had good credit. Like I paid all of my bills on time, but because I had so many people running my credit, it looked bad because of the inquiries.
Another good reason I think, or I would say that people can use their credit cards for is like because it's universal, right? So you bring out a Visa credit card, and it's taken pretty much anywhere on planet Earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your debit card from like freaking San Diego Credit Union or some credit union may not be taken in Brazil or something, but that Visa, that's just like an all over, it's just Visa credit card is going to be taken. So I think that's kind of important too. I think that's why maybe it's important to have a credit card.
1,000%. And I remember where we couldn't rent cars because we didn't have a credit card.
Yeah, so that's truth. We were stuck in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So
we had cash, and we were trying to go to the rental car because our flight got canceled because of the weather. So, and we was trying to get back to San Diego. So we went to the rental car company. It was like, hey, flight got canceled. We need a car. Can we get? They was like, all right, give me your credit card. I pulled out the debit. They was like, nah, we need credit. I'm like, well, I got cash. Doesn't matter.
Nope.
We need credit. I was like, well, I don't have a credit card.
Doesn't make sense. Why do you need credit? Like, we got it. Nope.
And that one time when we was in Mexico and we wanted to rent a car and they asked to put it on a credit, and the guy says, all right, I'm gonna put a $15,000 hold on your credit card. And I said, get the fuck out of here. Like, you want me to pay for the price of the car on my credit card?
And he said, yeah, you have to insure the car for the full price.
And first of all, that credit card only had $500 on it. Like, that was the max limit on that credit card was $500.
I will never forget that. I looked at that man like he was crazy. And then I'm like, wait, say it again. And he's like, yeah, $15,000.
Yeah,
and I'm like, first off, why are you saying it like you're saying $15? Like, you're saying it's so smooth, like that's nothing. But that's a whole nother podcast. I'm gonna say.
So you do need credit. Like especially if you're totally against credit cards, because you hear all the bad things, but you do need credit. Honestly, like I referenced my pops, who lived a long time, never using any credit and made it this far, but now he's in the process of making investments, and he wants to build a legacy that So he's like, oh shit, now I need this credit. So credit is for a legacy. Like you got to have credit to build legacy. It's something that we told our kids, like, when you are getting out and about and you want to, get your first place, the first thing they ask is about, all right, so let me see your references. Let me see, like how you say, your history.
Your report card.
Yeah, let me see your history.
Yeah.
And then, we could build it from there. They want to see things like your cell phone bill, a utility bill.
Yeah. Are you responsible? Are you not?
Are you able to pay your bills
Have
on time?
you failed at paying bills, or did you pass?
Yeah, exactly. So you do have to go get a credit card just for that.
To build your credit, right? That's called building your credit.
Exactly.
That
Be
is
strategic. Your habits in shopping and credit, like that's really what it comes down to. And people always have this bad, like, oh, fuck credit cards, like it's the devil.
Right,
it's
that's
like,
true.
No, your habits is what's the devil. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
And if you use them and leverage them correctly, getting the points, like we just said, Danielle's spent points for an entire vacation. I went all the way to the East Coast on points. That's because using the credit cards leverage appropriately. But that also took how many years of fucking up our credit?
Truth. That's
17 years.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's a lot.
I've had amazing credit and then terrible credit and then amazing credit and then okay credit. And then now I'm like, oh shit. Like now I have to be strategic with my credit. Like, oh, I can't go out and make this business purchase on my credit card or run my credit because I got something else coming down the line I got to be prepared for.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know my credit was like in the shits before because I didn't care. I didn't know about credit.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah,
you
always say that.
You were in the no credit. You was in the no credit world too.
Yeah. I guess you're right.
I mean, I had when we first ran yours, you only had like one thing.
I had like $1,000 worth of debt or something, and I was just like, woe is me, this is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're like, well shit, I have such and such, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like,
I had $50,000 worth of debt.
I was like, yo, how are we ever gonna pay that? I'm like, wait a minute, you're like, that you don't have any credit, babe. I was like, you're right. You're right. So now, but then I mean, it was so hard for me to get anything then, so no one wanted to give me any kind of credit, and I was like, I don't understand why if I don't have no credit, but once I paid that off, they were like, here you go. I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
And man, like I get like medical stuff like that, like all that stuff plays a big deal. Like think you got to check, like if you're not checking your credit report at least once a month, please do so. Like you got to be checking your credit report once a month. And a lot of credit cards nowadays will give you the free credit report option.
Truth.
Take advantage of it because it doesn't hit your credit report like it used to. So if you do have a credit card, or even some banks, depending on who you bank with, they'll give you that free credit report option. So take advantage of that.
Yeah, definitely.
1,000%.
Definitely. One of the things, a quote that I got from J.F. Lawton is, the stores, they're nice. They're not nice to people. They're nice to credit cards.
The stores?
Yes. So I've seen, and I mean from experience, and I know from experience, you walk into stores and it's like, oh, like depending on how you're dressed or how you look, then they look at you a certain way. But then you pull out your credit card, or if you say, hey, I'm going to spend, or I'm going to, even cash is definitely king, I'm going to spend cash, then they look at you different. So remember that, like, oh, it's my favorite store to shop in. Yeah, they love your card, honey. You know what I mean? They're 1,000%. Nice. They're nice to people with credit. They're not nice to people. So once you stop spending that money, it's gonna change.
That's 1,000%. I felt like that when I walked in the Louis Vuitton store, and I was in the Louis Vuitton store for 2 hours. It don't make no damn sense why I was in that store for 2 hours for one purse. I wasn't in there balling. I wasn't going crazy. I walked in and I was on my true Tommy Walker fashion, right? Had a hat on, had my sweat, and it was a Sunday. So Sundays I usually wear a sweatshirt.
Dress down.
Yeah, or some sweatpants. So I'm looking very, very pajama-like. Like I'm damn near like I barely made it out the house.
It's called loungewear.
Loungewear, athleisure wear, whatever you want to call it.
Leisure wear, even, yes.
Yeah, and I walked in it 2 hours later. The dude finally, he's like, all right, so what do you want? We have the whole conversation, and I break out the American Express, and his face lit up. He was like, oh, this guy came to shop. And I was like, no, I didn't. I want this one purse. This is my budget, and this is all it is. And immediately his whole demeanor changed. So 1,000%, I agree with you on that one. But you referenced store cards too, and you said you have a Victoria's Secret card in the beginning of the show. If you have, do not go out and get store cards. Like we joked about the Lowe's, Home Depot, all that stuff. Like that's not real credit. And if you look at those cards, a lot of those cards carry a heavy interest rate, right? Very heavy interest rate. So, I say stay away from those. Getting a regular credit card that will give you rewards is much better than having a store card. And those store cards, like, by all means, stay away from that shit.
And the only reason I have my Victoria's Secret card, I will say, and still do, is because they give you those early sales. So that's how they get you, right? So they're like,
that's their
if
loyalty?
you have if you have the card,
okay.
then you get a different discount, like a little bit earlier. Or I know all the other stores, they do that as well, but you can get caught up if you have too many, right?
Yeah,
so I don't need a
exactly,
Macy's and I don't need a JCPenney's and all that, but I do have the Victoria's Secrets, which I can still use at Bath and Body, not Bath and Body Works, Bath and Body Works. So it's like you can use that credit card in both places, and
really?
so yeah, so I think that's pretty cool on their part. So I like candles, and anywho. My 2 cents.
You just justified.
My shout out to them.
Yeah, your
I'm looking for sponsors. Vicky's. I'm holla at your girl. I'll wear your bras on the
If you're a frequent flyer of Victoria's Secret, Danielle just approved the credit card. That's great. But thank you, baby. That's dope. I love you. This is Lyfe and Shyt.
I love you.
Do us a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Leave a review. Let us know what your thoughts are. That's the only way that this show is going to be successful. And we appreciate you. Talk with you next time.